Next, in this recording, we're going to discuss which one, which essay? Essay 705, one of the most important essay from chapter 8. Why? Every attempt, I personally feel, one question is asked from essay 705. One question 100%. Take an essay 705, one question comes, the other one question comes. Rest all the other essays, they were mine. I cannot decide. They can ask from any. There is 700, there is 701, there is 706, 710, 299, 600, anything they can ask. 600 chota, one page. 299 even more chota, 3 pages. 299 is very easy. Okay, na? Essay 705, please focus. If you remember, there are total 4 types of opinion. One is unmodified opinion. But if I ask you how many modified opinion? 3. Qualified, adverse, disclaimer. If you ask me what is the hierarchy of the worst, I would say it is qualified, adverse, and disclaimer. It is not a rule which IC has given. I am telling it. Taken from my own understanding, I am giving this is the hierarchy. What is it? So, what are those circumstances what are those circumstances when an auditor will be forced to modify his opinion? Will you mark these 2 points? Yes, you will. What is it? First consideration. Auditor has concluded that what? Based on the audit evidence which he has obtained, that means he has obtained audit evidence that the financial statement as a whole are not free from material. Matlab, he has got proof in his hand regarding a particular item of the P&L balance sheet, whatever it is, that there are some misstatements and the financial statements are not free from material misstatements. Or auditor is unable to obtain SI. See, if you have proof, you can give 2 answers. Either misstatements are there or misstatements are not there. First, if you have got proof means evidence. If you have SI in your hand, you can either tell misstatements is there or misstatements is not there. If misstatement is there and you have proof, you will give a modified opinion. Second case, auditor, he is not able to obtain SI. He performed audit procedures, he performed additional audit procedures, alternative procedures, spoke with the management, spoke with the TCWG, but still he is not able to get the audit evidence regarding a particular item and of P&L or balance sheet. You think and tell me, if you don't have the proof of a particular item, can you tell whether misstatement is not there? Can you take a chance of telling that there is a not misstatement? Will you take that chance, or will you take a chance ki better I don't have audit evidence, I'll modify my opinion? Second one is better one, no? That is the second point. Auditor is unable to obtain SI. To conclude it, what? That the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement. He doesn't have evidence in his hand to tell that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. For example, there are multiple related party transactions. You don't even have one evidence in your hand regarding those related party. Why? Management did not provide you. You think and tell me, will you take a chance of giving an unmodified opinion? Why? You don't have any evidence in your hand. Tomorrow if you write and give it that there is no material misstatements without having proof, tomorrow if there is some misstatement, who will be caught negligent for it? Auditor. So there are 2 circumstances in which we modify our opinion. One is having sign hand and telling that there is misstatement, that means the financial statements are not free from misstatements. Second one, unable to obtain SI to conclude that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. You understood kya? Objective not required to be learned, it is okay. Types of modified opinion: qualified, adverse, disclaimer. Directly come to that box which you would have drawn in my class. Okay, you would have drawn a box in my class. This is nothing but I made a fool out of you. Why? Because there was already a box. Okay, there are 4 factors which were decided. Correct or not? 4 factors. What are the 4 factors? One is financial statement materially misstated. You would have written in a bracket what? Audit evidence obtained. You would have written somewhere here, no, in the bracket for this point. This point, you would have written something next to it. Evidence obtained. And second one is what? Inability to obtain audit evidence. These are 1 and 2nd factor. What are the other 2 factors? Regarding pervasiveness. You remember the meaning of the word pervasiveness? Pervasive. Whether the misstatement is material and pervasive. Material but not pervasive. So first one, it is material but not pervasive. Second one, it is material and pervasive. Both cases it is material. But first case it is not pervasive. Second case it is pervasive. Now what is that pervasive? It is there in your book somewhere here. In this box. Will you mark this? Yes, I told you I'm supposed to mark it. I give examples of the pervasive. Pervasive matlab majority. It is an adjective used for misstatements. It is like an adjective used for misstatement. If I gave an example in the class like this only. Total, take the total of the balance sheet asset side. Property, plant, equipment, land, stock, debtors, cash, correct on all this. Total is 10 crores. Out of the 10 crores, 8 crores were having misstatement. I would say the misstatements are pervasive to the financial statements. Pervasive, majority of the asset side of balance sheet is having misstatement. Correct. So can I tell if majority of the items there was some misstatement? Changing the example. 10 crores was the total. 10 crores was the total of the asset side. Stock alone was 7 crores. Stock alone was 7 crores. Rest 3 crores was divided between cash, debtors, property, plant, equipment. Stock alone 7 crores, there is misstatement. Again, I will tell it is pervasive. You know why? 7 crores out of 10 crores is misstated. So it is not necessary that multiple items are misstatement, only then it is pervasive. Sometimes even if that misstatement is confined single element, but that single element is covering the majority of item, we will tell that it is pervasive. Don't worry, in examination they don't test this pervasive like this what I've explained. They will give some hint in the question itself. Ki majority of the items of balance sheet were having misstatements, or stock was 8 crores out of 10 crores was having misstatements. So you'll get to know it is pervasive. Understood kya? So that's why I told you pervasive effects is nothing but in the auditor's judgment what? They are not confined to specific elements. Not confined to specific elements, the misstatements are there in multiple items. Second one, if it is confined, that means if the misstatement is confined to a specific item, that item would be representing a substantial portion. I told you, no, stock alone 8 crores misstatement. Or third one, in relation to disclosure. Disclosure, how we will tell it is a pervasive? If the disclosure was very important and they did not disclose that particular disclosure. For example, there are 4 cases going on in the company. They did not disclose the 3 cases in the disclosure. It's a very big misstatement. It is pervasive. Understood kya? Pakka kya? So if you remember, this box is the most important box in this. When you tell that the financial statements are materially misstated, that means you have obtained psi, and you tell that it is not pervasive, that means it is not affecting the majority of the items, you will give a qualified one. Okay, na? But if the financial statements are misstated having obtained psi and you're telling it is pervasive, that means you have psi and it is pervasive, then you give adverse opinion. Second, you are unable to obtain psi but you're telling it is not pervasive, in that again you're going to give qualified opinion. But you're unable to obtain psi and you are making a judgment what? Ki that related parties, no, you have not obtained psi but it was very important, it is pervasive, then in that case you're going to give a disclaimer of opinion. Make it very simple, don't get confused. Okay, now whenever it is not pervasive, both the cases let is qualified. Whenever it is not pervasive, don't use enough brains of yours, just remember it is qualified opinion. But when it is pervasive, remember, if you have got evidence, it is adverse. If you don't have any evidence, disclaimer. Understood kya? Okay. Will you read this entire thing? I would have told RMN. I would have told mug here, correct? And RMN of this 3 boxes. You know why? This entire qualified opinion, no, this thing, copy paste from here only. So read either this box or read either this. Understood kya? Okay. Now the most important line which I want to explain. Qualified, if you remember, there were 2 situations in which we are giving qualified. Correct or not? If you remember, we give qualified and we give disclaimer when we don't have psi. When we don't have psi, the language changes. I explained in the class also. What is the change in language? Okay. When you have evidence in your hand, what language will you use? You will use like this. The auditor, having obtained psi, concludes it that the misstatements are material but not pervasive. This is something when you have psi in your hand. Now, my question is, when you don't have the psi, your language changes. Why? Because you don't have psi in your hand. So you will not tell that auditor has concluded that there is misstatement. You will write possibility, possible effect of the misstatements. Why the word possible has been added? Because you don't have psi in your hand. So here you will write the auditor is unable to obtain psi onto which he can base his opinion, but he concludes that the possible effects on the FS could be material but not pervasive. So when it comes to disclaimer and when it comes to the other qualified, the second one qualified, in those 2 cases we use the word possible effects. But normal one, the upper one qualified and the upper one adverse, concludes that there is a misstatement. There is a huge difference. Example also you have to make sure that you write those words possible. Understood kya yaar? So just remember these 3 boxes. These again, this entire thing you don't have to remember. Take care. Illustration and all, disclaimer and all, it's the same thing from the box. Literally it is pure cut RMN. Just read the illustrations, move ahead. Understood kya? Which type of opinion is appropriate based on those 2 factors? Psi obtained, not obtained, pervasive, not pervasive. They have written the same 2 points here. Same 2 points they have written here. Nature of the matter giving rise to modification. That means whether the financial statements are materially misstated, that means you have obtained psi, or inability to obtain psi. The first 2 factors here on the left hand side. And see, it is written and what auditors judgment about pervasiveness. So on these 2 bases you're going to decide. Understood kya? Then from 5.5, it is very important. Please focus. 5.5 is important. 5.6 is important. 5.7 is important. 5.8 is important. All these are very important. Please focus. Continuing with 5.5. What is 5.5? Consequence of an inability to obtain site due to management imposed limitation. What is it? He is not able to obtain site because of what reason? Because of management imposed limitation. Don't read this. Come to directly this chart. It is the most simplest form. Okay, na? It is the most simplest form. You can create sentences from this. What are they telling over here? If the auditor is unable to obtain site because of what reason? Because of management limitation. First what we're going to do? Management. Please remove the limitation. We are going to request them. There are two situations. Either they will remove or they will not remove. If the management removes the limitation, good to go, green signal, proceed with your own audit procedures. Simple answer here. Okay. If the management refuses to remove the limitation, we'll go to the papa. Who's the papa? TCWG. TCWG, management is not removing the limitation. If still TCWG is not also removing the limitation, still you are unable to obtain site. That means along with this communication of TCWG, you'll start performing alternative procedures. But even after performing alternative procedures, you're not able to obtain psi. In that case, there are two options. Possible effects of misstatements, material but not pervasive. Possible effects of material and pervasive. Array, common sense, think and tell me, were you able to obtain psi over here? No. So directly you'll come to either qualified or disclaimer. That depends on whether it is pervasive or. So if it is not pervasive, give qualified. If it's pervasive, withdraw from the engagement or give a disclaimer of opinion. Again, here there are two options. Either withdraw or give a disclaimer, because it is not necessary. See, you will try to put a disclaimer. Practically, I'm telling you, you will tell that I'm giving a disclaimer. What will happen the moment you tell disclaimer? Management will be like, not allowed. And you'll be like, okay, you are telling not allowed. I'll be like, I'm also not allowed then to do the audit. I'll withdraw. Understood? Yeah. We'll try to give a disclaimer. If the management like, no, disclaimer not allowed, you give something else. Then we'll be like, sir, SAS have told I have to give a disclaimer. If not disclaimer, I will withdraw. This entire thing is covered in this entire points. If you know this, you can create sentences. Understood? Kya? Done? Kya? 5.6, the most important. I told you 700 we learned opinion and basis for opinion ka section. That was purely for unmodified opinion. I told you, whenever you go for a modification, your opinion paragraph and your basis for opinion paragraph will have some changes. Those changes have been given over here. First, we're going to discuss about auditor's opinion section. Then we're going to discuss about basis for opinion section. Okay, now. So opinion section, what are the changes? It is very important in SA 705. Okay. First thing, what you're going to do? Always the heading has to be what heading? The opinion heading. No. Instead of opinion, you're going to write qualified opinion, adverse opinion, disclaimer. So heading has to be changed. First change. Then, whenever the auditor expresses a qualified opinion due to a material misstatement in the FS, the auditor shall state it in the auditor's opinion, except for the effects of the matters described in the basis for opinion. Array, I told you, no, ki whenever he gives an modified opinion, he can use the word subject to with the foregoing explanation. Instead of those, they have told you can use the word except for the effects which are described in the basis for opinion. That means you're going to write, we have audited the audit of this particular company. We are giving a qualified opinion, this and this, except for the effects given in the basis for opinion. Basically, you're just giving a reference. What? Please read the basis for opinion section, because whatever matters I've given over there, because of those matters only I'm giving a qualified opinion. Understood? Kya? And again, those two sentences are the same sentence only. What two sentences? That we did in normal opinion section, no. Present fairly in all aspects or gives a true and fair view. So in qualified opinion also we will give that kind of language only. But there is one small change. What is it? When reporting in accordance with fair representation, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material aspects or gives a true and fair view. You can either use one of the language. And one more point, when reporting in accordance with the compliance framework, you don't have this particular thing. You have only got fair presentation framework, general purpose framework. This compliance framework is not there in your syllabus. Take care. But take care. If it is compliance framework, then you have to write it what? Where the modification arises from inability to obtain site, the auditor shall use the corresponding phrase except for the possible effect. Understood? Kya? Depends on whether you obtain site or you have not obtained site. Understood? Kya? Pakka kya? Okay. Adverse opinion again. First thing which you're going to change is the heading. Correct or not? First thing which you're going to change is the heading. Then what else you're going to change? Again, instead of the line except for, no, what you're going to use? Because of the significance of the matters described in the basis for adverse opinion. Here we have used the wording, you use the word significance. Why? Because here it is adverse opinion. You have obtained psi and it shows that it is pervasive. Taken, it is not halka fulka, not something like which is very significant. So write this, and here there is a big change. Here we write, when reporting according with fair presentation framework, the financial statements do not give a true and fair view. This is the most important and adverse. You are supposed to write it in your opinion paragraph. It is not giving a true and fair view. Understood kya? And compliance framework, it has not been prepared in all material aspects. Again, take a compliance framework, you just write it as it is, no need for any explanation. Taken up. This is the change. Disclaimer of opinion, the worst opinion according to me. What is it? Whenever you disclaim an opinion, these are the three things you must take care of. What is it? When the auditor disclaims an opinion due to inability to obtain psi, the auditor shall. What are the three things which you must state? See, state, amend the statement. That means three statements you have to add in your disclaimer of opinion ka paragraph. First one, state it. The auditor does not express any opinion at all. Why? We don't have psi. We don't have psi about those misstatements which we are not sure also whether they are there or not. So we cannot give any kind of opinion at all. Who's the murderer? We don't know. But some murder has happened. Can you disclose it? You cannot. So we are not giving any opinion on it. Understood? So state it that we as auditors do not express an opinion on the FS. State that same line. What? Because of the significance of the matters, the auditor has not been able to obtain psi to provide a basis. Write the reason. Because of the management has not provided us the particular information on related parties. Because of that, we did not obtain any psi. And third one, very important. In SA 700, we learnt one statement was supposed to be put in the opinion paragraph. You please amend that statement. What is that statement? Which indicates that the financial statements have been audited. State that the auditor was engaged to do the audit. If you remember in SA 700, opinion paragraph, second point, we wrote that we stated that we have audited the FS. When you give disclaimer of opinion, don't write it that we have audited. You have to write we were engaged to do the audit. It's a very big difference. Taken up in normal unmodified opinion, etc. adverse there or not, we write it. We have audited. But when you give a disclaimer, we don't write the letters we have audited. We write we were engaged to do the audit. This is only case in disclaimer. Adverse qualified like we write we have audited, but we make other changes. Do not gives a true and fair view like that. Understood? Kya? Very important. Especially disclaimer, to they tested frequently because there are many more questions on disclaimer. Understood? Kya? Pakka kya? Understood till here? Then comes basis for opinion. Second paragraph. There also we have to make changes. First change is what? Heading. Instead of basis for opinion, we're going to give basis for qualified opinion, basis for adverse opinion, and within this section include a description of the matter also. That matter you have to explain because of what reason you are giving a qualified or a adverse or a disclaimer. Okay. From here you focus. It is a mock question. Huh? It is a mock question. Ki what are the points which the auditor has to keep in mind when the auditor is giving an modified opinion regarding basis for opinion section? You have to write these points. What is it? First one, if there is a material misstatement in the FS that relates to a specific amount, that means it is a misstatement related to disclosure or amount. Chicken. Inclusive quantitative disclosure in the notes to accounts. Please make sure auditor you include in the basis for opinion the description of that misstatement and also the quantification matlab the quantity, give the amount of that misstatement. Understood kya? But if it is not practicable to give the quantity, that means the amount of that misstatement, please state in this section the reasons why you are not able to quantify the misstatement. Next, these 2 points are related to quantification. First 2 points. Next, if the misstatement is related to any disclosure, then the auditor shall include in the basis for opinion an explanation of that disclosure. Understood kya? Third one, if there is a misstatement in the financial statement that relates to a non-disclosure of information, that means an information which was supposed to be disclosed in the FS but they did not. In that case, the auditor shall discuss the non-disclosure first with the TCWG. Taken up. Then describe that entire part in the basis for opinion paragraph, and if it is not prohibited by law or regulation and it is practicable for him to do so, auditor, you and the auditors obtain psi about the same thing. Please put the entire disclosure in your basis for opinion. Understood kya? And last one, if the modification results from an inability to obtain psi, please write it that the auditor was unable to obtain psi. Give those reasons for those in B responsibility. ये understood क्या? When the auditor expresses a qualified or an adverse opinion, the auditor shall amend the statement about whether the audit evidence obtained was sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis. If you open a page number, open that basis for opinion wala page, no, SA 700, basis for opinion, please, basis for opinion. You would have seen, no, in point number 4, this thing 8.12, point number 4. What did you see in point number 4? State it whether the auditor has obtained psi. See, that is applicable when you give a unmodified opinion. When it is here in modified opinion, especially qualified and adverse, please amend that statement. Don't write it okay, you obtained psi. You're going to write whether the audit evidence obtained psi to include the word qualified and adverse. Add those word qualified and adverse. Okay, na? Where the auditor disclaims an opinion. See, here it is qualified and adverse. Here it is disclaim. The auditor shall in the report shall not include at all. What you have to not include? Two things don't include at all in your basis for opinion section. What are those? First, a reference to the section where auditor's responsibility are mentioned. Because if you remember in that page 8.12, because we are just engaged. As responsibilities, we are not giving a reference to it. And a statement about whether the audit evidence obtained is sufficient to provide a basis. Because we have not obtained psi at all. How can you write that letter, that sentence, we have obtained psi? So they are told, please do not include at all these two sentences. Understood kya? Then 5.8, the most important paragraph.
That was tested in Jan 25.
Jan 25 was tested, no? Yes. I knew this was tested in Jan 25. This part was tested in Jan 25. 5.8. What is 5.8? Description of the auditor's responsibility. If you remember, in the auditor's report section, there's a separate section on auditor's responsibility. So they are telling that description of the auditor's responsibility, when the auditor gives a disclaimer of opinion, there are a few changes to be made in that particular section. Which section? Auditor's responsibility section. Are that 3 phases we did know? That entire thing has to be changed. When you're giving a disclaimer of opinion. It is not other opinion. Disclaimer of opinion. Okay. How have they told us? Whenever auditor you're giving a disclaimer of opinion, in your report there will be some section on auditor's responsibility. Please include only these following points. See, it is written now. Please include only the following 3 points. Nothing else you put in your auditor's responsibility section. What are those 3 points? Write a statement. What? That auditor's responsibility was to conduct an audit in accordance with the essays. Generally we write what? We have performed the audit as per the essays. Here we are just writing we were engaged to audit and we conducted the audit in accordance with the essays. A statement, however, because of the matters described in the basis for opinion, the auditor was not able to obtain psi. Just write the statement what? Okay, we were not able to obtain psi. And third one, write the statement about auditor's independence. Ultimately, we have to be independent. If you are given a report, you have to be an independent person. So state it that we were independent and other ethical requirements followed as per SA 700 only. Understood kya? Pakka kya? Then they have told, if you remember key audit matters which you're going to learn, they're telling unless required by law regulation, when the auditor disclaims an opinion, please auditor do not include key audit matters. Because you are already giving a modified opinion. Disclaimer of opinion. Communication with TCWG, very important. They ask a case-based question on these 3 lines. What is it? Whenever auditor, see, it is not like the day you sign the audit report, that day only you will be like, this opinion you have to give. You already know what kind of opinion you're going to give in the auditor's report. So when you expect, auditor, when you're expecting that you're going to modify your opinion, either to qualify it as disclaimer, directly do not give the final audit report and sign it and give it to the management. First, give a draft report. Please communicate that modified opinion with the TCWG. So that whenever the auditor expects to modify the opinion, the auditor shall first communicate with the TCWG the circumstances which led to expected modification and also the wordings of the modification. Directly do not give the modified report. Please first communicate the reasons of modification. Any doubts till here? Pakka. SA 705 is damn important. Please do not skip it.